and we're excited. And the weekend comes. And for some reason, as I'm in my bedroom, I start hearing like this waterfall. And I was like, Carrie, I know we're doing okay, but I don't remember having an indoor waterfall part of our house. And I'm walking down my hallway, and then it got louder and louder, and I walked down my steps. It was unfinished basement, and I walked down, and there it was. There was about 6 inches of water in my basement. It had flooded everything that's where we stored all of our stuff down there as well. And I thought, you know what, maybe it's time not to have a house anymore. I remember, like, honestly, like my heart sunk, because that's the one thing I did not want to have, is a flooded apartment or a flooded house. And I remember wanting just to lay down in the water and just say, just take me down the drain. That's honestly how I felt. I didn't have anything. I had a snow scoop, and I'm literally snow scooping my water down my drain in my basement. It sounds funny, but it was really, really depressing. And so I was not very happy, as you can imagine. So after we moved away from Rosse, after we figured out what was going on and all that, we moved to another house in Miramichi. And I'm like, if I see any more water, I'm just going to give up. I'm going to get a tent, and we'll just tent inside our house. And who cares what happens outside our little tent in our house here? And we go to buy this house that's in our price range, and I open up the basement, and what do I see? Water. It has an internal draining system all around the basement, so it has water in it literally all of the time, going to my sump pump and going out of my house. I'm like, it's kind of ironic. That's what it felt like. But then something happened this past spring. I'm downstairs, a lot of rain is happening, and my drainage is doing its thing, and I open my basement because I hear my sump pump acting up, really crazy. I open my basement and look down, 6 inches of water, like all over my floor again. And my heart sunk for a moment, because it's just flashback, right? I got PTSD with flooding my basements and apartments in my house, and I'm walking down the steps, and I'm just walking in there with my bare feet. I didn't put anything on. There's electrical cords. I probably could have died. I probably shouldn't have done that. But I'm looking in this water, and I'm like, what do I do now? But something was a little bit different this time around, because my best friend, he actually owned a carpet cleaning business, and he had like he had a van, and inside it had this big giant vacuum that he could actually suck out all of this water. So it's like midnight, and I call him, like, Jeff, can you come? Can you, like, my whole basement's completely flooded. Like, before I was taking like a snow scoop, and that wasn't going to work, so I called him. He's like, I got you, man. He came, he brought his van there, and he sucked out, I don't know how many gallons of water out of my basement. And something was really spectacular in that moment, because before Jeff was in the picture, if I didn't have my friend Jeff here, I would have just, I think Carrie was in Saskatchewan. I wouldn't even told her. She would have came home to a sold vacant house. I just moved away, and she would have no idea. But there was this peace that kind of came over me going, God, I don't know what to do, but I know you've given me a friend, Jeff, with this nice van that he just got, and so let's make this work. And what I notice is when you know who can bring you the peace, when God brings you peace, he can get you through any situation. If that happened to me back when I was like 20 years old and all over again, my brand new house I bought, it would be awful. But what I want to do today is just walk us through this road to peace. Because I think a lot of us are probably having moments where we're like, all right, I need to find some peace in my life because there's a lot of things that are happening right now. Last week we talked about this road to hope, but today we're talking about the road to peace. And there's 3 aspects. If I want peace, I need to have these 3 things. If I want peace, I must first welcome God in the unexpected. And we're going to be looking in the book of Luke chapter 1. So if you have your Bibles with you, it's awesome. If not, I have the scriptures on the back here as well. Luke chapter 1. And it starts with this. In the 6th month of Elizabeth's pregnancy. Right? So right off the bat, we see a little bit of context what's happening in this story. Right? They're telling us, the author's telling us, hey, listen, this is in the 6th month of Elizabeth's pregnancy. Something spectacular is happening with this Elizabeth lady that we're going to talk to in just a moment. She was going to have a son, right? He's going to be this forerunner for Jesus, right? He wasn't the road, but he was definitely on the on-ramp for what Jesus was going to do. And during this time, this is exactly what happens. God sends this angel to Nazareth, a town in Galilee. One of my biggest pet peeves, and maybe it is for you or maybe not, is if I'm ever watching like a reality TV show that's set in the US. And whenever they have they'll say Toronto, they won't say Toronto, Ontario, they'll say Toronto, Canada. Do you guys does that bother you when it's not the province, it's the Canada? No one knows where Toronto is, we gotta say it's in Canada. For me, I get bothered by that because I think everyone should know everything about Canada. But here we have the author saying, hey, listen, Nazareth, this is a place that no one really knows about. It's got about 300 people roughly around this time. Very small town. My wife, Carrie, she grew up in a town called Trepassey in Newfoundland. I don't know if anyone's from Newfoundland here, but a place called Trepassey, which would have around 300 people. Everyone knows everybody's business, okay? Everyone's business. And so this is a very unexpected town, a place that's like a blip on the map that no one would ever think about is going to have any of importance here. But in just a moment, we're going to see how this unexpected town was about to have this most marvelous message brought to them. To a girl who wasn't really expecting it either. Right? It continues on, it says, to a virgin pledged to be married to a man named Joseph, a descendant of David. The virgin's name was Mary. So we have this angel showing up to Mary, this teenage girl, roughly around 13, 14 years old. She's betrothed to a man named Joseph, and so for all intents and purposes, they are married. Okay, they're on the journey to being married. It's really intense engagement. That if you're going to break the engagement, you got to go through a full experience, right? Go through a divorce, you got to do all these moments, and so this is a big deal. And so they're taking this time for about a year or so where they're preparing for the marriage, and Joseph's preparing the house, and so on and so forth. And an angel appears to Mary, this teenage girl, descendant of David. See, the Messiah, as we hear about, is going to come from this line, this lineage of David. And there have been thousands of Jews who you could trace your lineage back to David. So Mary, being this girl who's around 13 or 14, and she's from a small town in Nazareth, is probably not walking around going, all right, I'm going to be the mother of the Messiah. She's probably not expecting that. But the lineage is very, very important to the Jewish people. My dad's favorite hobby is genealogy. He studied our family roots and gone all the way back to Abraham Lincoln, and you probably can't unsee it how much I look like him now. You're like, oh yeah, I can see that. And so lineage is very important to my family, but really important to the Jewish people, right? They're able to trace it all the way back to David. And so they know the coming Messiah is going to be coming through this line. But this woman, this young girl, this 13 to 14-year-old girl in Nazareth is not expecting this kind of news. An angel appears out of nowhere, right? The Messiah they were expecting the Messiah, but definitely not to someone like her. Because if you're thinking about the coming Messiah, they're expecting to be like this king, this powerful leader, right? Somewhere closer to the temple. There's not going to be coming to Nazareth. Not going to be coming to this young teenage girl. And he appears to Mary. And I love this. And he says this, the angel went to her and said, greetings, you who are highly favored, the Lord is with you. Highly favored one. The Lord is with you. We recognize from the book of Daniel that he most likely looked like a man, right? And so this is something that's about to happen to Mary. She's greatly troubled. But not by the way he looks, but by the way he sounds, by his greeting that he brings him. Because in the book of Daniel, we see that Daniel he fell down when he started approaching and heard his voice. And so Mary hears this message, and she's troubled by it, shaken by it. What do you mean I'm favored, right? What does this even mean? His appearance wasn't the thing that was stopping her, even though I imagine I'd be pretty scared if I'm minding my own business. I'm just doing my dishes or folding my laundry, and all of a sudden, bam! An angel appears out of nowhere. I'm going to have a panic attack. I'm going to be a little bit stricken here. But for Mary, she's troubled at what he says. How am I seen as someone who is favored? I'm Mary from Nazareth, a town of 300 people. What do you mean I'm favored by God? His words are so troubling to her. And he reminds her again, he says, you who are highly favored, the Lord is with you. You're favored. cherished, right? Like grace is being given to you, is being endowed on you with grace. You are important. Something is going to be happening to you that God sees important. And Mary's not here. Sometimes we can kind of elevate Mary a little bit here, but she's not the source of peace here in this story, in this situation, right? She's just recipient of it, right? She's not the giver of grace, but she's someone who is receiving the grace. She didn't earn divine status, but she was simply said yes to divine invitation. This story that we're talking about today, we talk about almost, I would say we probably talk about every single year around this time, right? But this angel appearing to Mary. And she's an example, right? She's an example of an ordinary, humble person with an open heart to what God is about to say to her. Mary is an unexpected receiver of this grace that we're about to talk about, right? And she wondered what kind of greeting this might be. Like, why are you talking to me about this right now? How am I seen as favored? How do you see me as someone who was important? Because she would have read the writings and heard the stories of angels appearing to like prophets and priests and judges, these people of power and influence. And yet you're appearing to me? You're talking to me? You see me as being favored? Like this was something very, very unexpected for her to have. Very unexpected. But if I want to have peace, because, man, I've found myself in situations where I desperately need peace. But if I want peace, I need to be able to feel or welcome God in the unexpected. Welcome God in those moments where, okay, I don't know what's going to happen next, but God, I'm trusting you in this unexpected moment. If I want peace, I must choose trust over control. A lot of us like control. A lot of us like looking at the different aspects of our lives and want to hold on to those moments and go, you know what? I don't know how I'm going to get out of it, but I know I'm going to do it on my own. I don't need the help from my spouse, my friends. I don't need from God. I can do it on my own. But the angel said to her, do not be afraid, Mary. You have found favor with God. He recognizes that she's terrified. She's afraid of what he's saying because this is an angel appearing to her. Booming voice. Appearance of an angel saying, Mary, don't be afraid right now. And we look in John 14:27, says, this peace I leave you with you. My peace I give you. I do not give you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled and do not be afraid. Jesus having this moment, right? We're going to celebrate this later on. Having this moment with his disciples before he goes to his death. Talking about, hey, listen, the peace that this world gives you doesn't last. The peace I'm about to give you is amazing, right? And it's completely different than something that they would have experienced in the past. Man, there are things that I don't know how people get through without receiving that kind of peace. I always get a little bit anxious when I'm driving in snow and at nighttime. When I was on my way back to college, we were I took a bus home. I wasn't driving during that time, and so I took a bus home, and it was snowing out, and it was dark out, and I fell asleep on the bus, and all of a sudden I woke up to this giant bang. The bus had hit something. We didn't know what it was, and we pulled over, and we realized that, unfortunately, there was a car that had fishtailed out in front of the bus, and unfortunately, it killed the people that were in the bus. And it was something that struck me so hard. I had a hard time driving in snow and being in the dark. But the thing that still, even to this day, captivates me is that the wife and the mom who was at home waiting for her husband and kids to come home, her testimony that she had is one of the most powerful testimonies of peace that passes all understanding. She took this as an opportunity to share her faith with people on the news and in the paper. Every single year, there's a memory comes up, and she shares about it. There is something amazing that happens when you tap into the supernatural peace that Jesus offers you. The peace that we get from our circumstances until another crisis comes, right? Then we fall back into our same routine here. But Jesus wants to give you a peace that passes all understanding. Because I don't know how people get through life. I don't know how people get through tragedies and crises that happen without knowing that there is a peace that they can be receiving. right? Where are you right now in your life? Like, where are you asking and praying for peace? Is it in your family right now? Is it in the relationships that you have that seem to be torn? You're like, God, I don't know what to do. There seems to be turmoil, especially on these holidays. That's when everything comes to get stirred all back up all over again. God, I need your peace. Is it in your work or with your friends? Is there avenues in your life where, like, God, please, I need this peace? See, Jesus didn't promise peaceful circumstances. We recognize this world, stuff is going to happen. Things are going to happen in our lives where things will be turned upside down. Following Jesus doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but he does promise that he's going to be in the middle of those moments. There's so many different times in scriptures, in the New Testament, Jesus is sleeping right on a boat, and a storm's happening. The fishermen, these guys who are used to storms, and they're freaking out. They're like, Jesus, you're sleeping. What are you doing? Wake up. He wakes up, calms the storm. There's so many storms in our lives right now that we're probably praying for peace right now. Praying that peace, that Jesus will come alongside us and to give us that peace so we can have our lives restored. And he continues on, he says this to the angel, says, you will conceive and give birth to a son, and you are to call him Jesus. He'll be great and will be called the Son of the Most High. The Lord God will give him the throne of his father David, and he will reign over Jacob's descendants forever. His kingdom will never end. 30 seconds ago, Mary was preparing for her wedding. She's living her own life, just going about her daily life. And all of a sudden, an angel appears out of nowhere and gives her this crazy news that, listen, you're going to carry the Son of God. One of my greatest surprises my wife did was she surprised me by doing a photo shoot, and she surprised me by telling me that we're going to have our first child, Ren. It was so exciting for me. I can't imagine if she said, oh, by the way, he's going to be the Son of God. That is a crazy, crazy news to receive. And being like a 13, 14-year-old girl, you're probably a little bit overwhelmed. Even if you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, I don't care where you're at. Getting this kind of news is overwhelming, and it probably stirs up a lot of emotions. She could have probably been like, you know what? I don't think I can do this. I've got my life planned out here. She's not married to Joseph yet, and so she's going to become pregnant. What are people going to say? This is a town of like 300 people. Everyone knows everybody here. I took a picture of my backyard in Miramichi when I first bought my house. I posted it online, just showing the view I had. I had like 15 people say, oh, I love your backyard. You bought Guillaume's old place. I know your next door neighbor, Katrina, and started listing off all my neighbors. I'm like, you guys are crazy. Small town, right? And so Mary has this moment. She's being told the greatest news of all, but this is overwhelming. But if I want to have peace, I need to let go of these things. I need to let go of control of what happens next. Because we want to control. We want to dictate where we're going to go. We have a problem. Some of you are problem fixers. You see a problem, you want to fix it. I'm thankful for YouTube. That's where I get all my problems fixed. But you want to have control. And unfortunately, there's going to be times where you're not going to be able to figure it out on your own. You're going to have to invite Jesus in to take that control and say, God, I don't know what I'm supposed to do next. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with my family here. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with my work right now. I don't know I'm going to deal with this turmoil or this conflict that I have right now in my life. I don't know what to do. But God, I'm letting go of that control.